Welcome back to Shifted Reality Season 1, Episode 25. Now, a bit of an announcement. This is going to be my final episode of Season 1. As kind of predicted, things have been kind of winding down around the server for a little while now. Fewer people are active, and less is happening with development, outside a couple of us who are still building. Now, what that means is that we are coming up on a server reset. That's right, soon all of this is going to be packed away into a world download and moved on to a brand new seed, brand new world, new challenges, new creations. I have to say, I really enjoyed being on the server this season, and I really enjoyed being able to capture the progress and development of this base. It's something is kind of nice to know that when the server shuts down, the memories and the recording, the visual appeal of this base will remain alive on YouTube, amongst other things. But first, a little surprise. When I logged on today, I was immediately faced with this gift from Tyler. He's going to be joining us for our next season, and we hope to work with him and see what we can build together. But a little early Christmas present for me at the time of this recording. Of course, you won't see this until after Christmas, and this episode is going to go up on December 31st, close to midnight, for a little New Year's celebration. Now, great gift on here is he did give us some gunpowder, something we are vitally going to need, because coming up, we need to convert all of these unique fireworks stars into actual rockets, because we now have one fireworks star for every subscriber and then some to celebrate our New Year's. And thank you for joining us on this journey. I might take the gingerbread cookies too. Now let's take a little tour and discuss some of my favorite creations over this season. And just to keep things fast, I'm going to do something that I have not done at all in this season, and that is to take flight on some Elytra. Just so we can get there a little bit quicker, because the first thing I liked to show off wasn't in my base, but it was this prank we built. Now, this B-52 bomber is not an original design, obviously, and it is overall a general pain. The tutorial I followed kind of represents everything I hate about tutorials. Constantly creating in creative mode and not being cognitive of the difficulties that people following along in survival might face. And it really represents what I think is why tutorials should always be built in survival mode, just so that you know that your audience will be able to follow along regardless of their preference for how to play a game. But all in all, I really enjoy having this on the server. Every time I came over or walked past it, it was just a thrill to see this thing sitting up in the sky, the shadow cast on the ground. I just liked what this was, and it will always be a happy little fun thing that I did to interact with my neighbor by his ice wing. Want to look at our Christmas village coming up together? There will be a little Secret Santa. This is a lovely set of Christmas presents. Now, the second thing I would like to show off and recollect on, which is again not on my base, but it is something that I do super enjoy. Part of the reasons why I really enjoy this so much is the creation of this lock system using the keys from the new trial chambers to allow you to come in and gain secret access to this lab. And overall, I enjoyed making this kind of copper steampunk lab. Test rockets, test drones. There was a lot left to be done here that could have been done, but the idea, the general feel and concepts of what this created was a enjoyable experience for me. I particularly liked building up the experimental turbine that is smoking because it is slightly broken, but it's all good and it all works. It feels alive. It feels like this is a working laboratory of mad scientists who are experimenting with things just a little bit beyond their capabilities. And that's why I like this one. Now, that being said, let's move on to the next build. And then we are now returning back to my base about things that I really enjoyed about this season. And that was my various alchemist labs. The experiments of dripping concoctions onto zombie heads to see if we can cure them of their affliction. The testing of poisons, or maybe this is another rejuvenation serum experiment. Or perhaps it's just the lab researcher who really wanted a copper golem, tried to create him, but alas, it will always elude him. There will be no copper golem in this villager's future. Let us all hold a moment of silence for his lost dreams of this monstrosity. The lab door, of course, to our steampunk laboratories was well designed and completely secure. I do like the look of the new copper blocks that we were introduced, and you will probably see more of these in the future, all the way from the doors, from decorative elements to everything else copper. They will be with us for a long time. Now, my second favorite thing on this Alchemist and Cartographer's Tower is the painting gallery. I really liked how this turned out with the paints on the platters and the works in progress. Paintings completed, not yet started. The only thing I regret is the fact that the floor is covered in splotches of redstone, and generally speaking, I understand the community has used splotches of redstone to use as representing a blood, but I really want to get a representation of spilt paint, but there's no way of doing that in vanilla Bedrock currently. Maybe someday in the future we will get there, but this is what it is. I like the art easels, I like the paint brushes, I like the collection of 1x2 paintings to show that the artist is in effect. This is probably one of my favorite cartographer rooms in my base for my villagers. Now, speaking of elements that were built just for the benefit of my villagers, this has to be mentioned. But the most interesting thing about this is the fact that I did not lock my villagers in tiny 1x1 rooms for my own benefit this season. I focused on giving them worlds and rooms that they could move and interact with that I really liked. So in this case, we have our coal forge where you could heat up your metal, come up the emerald to work it, tool bench to refine it, and the grindstone to sharpen it, and of course the quench for bringing this thing down to working temperatures and hardening the metal. And I know some of you might say, hey, you can't do a water quench on forging. Technically you can, it's just more technical and more difficult and more problematic to failure. But this is a functioning forge that I personally would love to work in. And that leads us to my biggest vanity project. One that honestly got away from me. I wanted to recreate the library from Beauty and the Beast animation movie from Disney. Overall, I think I got the broad strokes of it in here. But I assumed that I would be utilizing villagers, specifically these villagers that are the librarians, to be repairing tools and armor a lot more frequently than I ultimately did, and end up with a lot more books. I never fully filled in this library with all the books that it was going to have, but it did end up with a general aesthetic that is still grandiose beyond being grand. Now, probably one of my more controversial decisions was my storage system this season. I had a auto smelter for just general use there, and 3 blast furnaces for my use over here. But everything that I had for storage was in its own room, its own cabinet. And a lot of people ask me, it's like, well, isn't that very inefficient, unloading everything into so many different spaces? But the thing is, this was never meant to be a solid auto sorter sort of experience. This was not designed to maintain and sort large quantities of materials that I may or may not use. This was really about emptying out my inventory. So, if I ever was going on an adventure and I came back with an inventory full of random garbage, I just needed places to put it. But if I was building something and expanding, I would go out and collect specifically for that expansion. And when I was done building something like the Central Keep, there wasn't a lot of excess materials left over, and it was just putting a few things here and there. So I never needed a particularly large and robust storage system, despite how large this base became overall. And this base was particularly large. I don't know if I can really capture the essence of everything that we have done, but we were always expanding, and there is so much more that I could have done. The next stage would have been to expand out this way to connect this gatehouse to our library, allowing a circular connection. And then from there, I was going to take this Central Keep and expand it along this ridge this way, and again bring it around to connect to that gatehouse. So much left to do, and sadly I could probably do like 2 more seasons of Shifted Reality and still not be out of things to build for this base. But that is where I am at. I'm like, why reset the server? There is so much more to do. This game is infinite, and I will never, ever run out of either a minor task such as shoring up the bridge line with solid foundational structures, building a dungeon in the bottom of my castle where I can torture villagers. That was on the list for this season. My son had a really great idea about making a layer of water just above the ceiling line of this level, all so that you would have this constant dripping effect, making the place look dreary and damp. Oh, that was such a great idea, and I never was able to get around to implementing it because I just simply ran out of time. Alright, now let's go see if we can get ourselves some gunpowder from our neighbors. For that, we are going to take some diamonds to trade for whatever gunpowder they have. Alright, how about Don? Don always has the most extensive storage systems, so they must be surely loaded with gunpowder. Ah, here we are. A whole section dedicated to gunpowder. 17. Well, that's 17 more than I have now. I'm up to half a stack, and I need a minimum of 1 stack per bundle of firework stars. Let's see if Real is any more flush in gunpowder than everyone else has been. So far, it seems like nobody on the server has gunpowder. Like, before making all these firework stars, I was apparently the Monopoly King on gunpowder, and I was just passively collecting it. Two? Really? 2 gunpowder? That's all I had? Now, I'm not even sure where to start looking for gunpowder in Bias's base. He has shulker and chest monsters all over the place. Oh, there's a little bit of gunpowder. Every little bit counts, though. There's another 2. Well, so far we've had our best luck getting some additional gunpowder from Bias. Let's check out Train's Mob Farm. 4. Well, at least now I'm up to a stack of gunpowder. Oh, jackpot. Let's leave 4 for the stack. 4 stacks of gunpowder. I would not have found his mob farm if he did not tell me about it on the Discord. So thank you very much. That has gotten me to more than what I need to complete my fireworks display. Now let's head home. Now that we are back home, we can get to work at putting together our fireworks and setting up our launch system. But before I do that, there is one more thing to do, and that is the Secret Santa. So for the Secret Santa, I got Be the Worker, and I know it seems kind of silly to be doing a Secret Santa when the server's about to shut down, but it is the holiday season, and I do want to spread some cheer. And now B is always concerned about losing all of his stuff should he die. So for his, I am going to give him all of my Totems of Undying I've collected over the season. And I just need to select which present. Yeah, I like this green one. So I just pop a chest inside, all of my totems, some extra diamonds in case if he loses any, and heck. And that way if he did ever lose his items, he could just simply make more, and there we go. Now we close this back up. And one final touch, let's just color and light up these signs so they are easier to read. And one more customary thing to do before the server shuts down, and that is, as always, to empty out our ender chest so that nothing is ever lost and everything is preserved in the world download. And I'm just going to put everything in my little wardrobe back here. And since Bias was talking about having lost his trident, I'm going to give him an early Christmas present as well. And so Bias lost his trident that he was using for Riptide effects. And let's just return this to him. It's not the one he lost, but it will give him the same effect, allowing him to go back to launching around and updating his maps that I know that he really likes to do and wants to do yet. Happy early Christmas, Bias. I hope you enjoy. Here we go. We are now all set up and ready to go. This is officially the most fireworks I have ever set off at one time. Hopefully we'll get some good angles and viewing from this. All of the fireworks do not stack because they are all unique and spread out throughout this compound. So once I press the button, the first fireworks will start to go, and it should just keep circling around and around and around until all fireworks are fully depleted. Now let's just wait for the sun to set. Alright, the sun is starting to set. We are about to set off our fireworks. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year's.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and all lang syne? For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne.
Well, looks like there's only one thing left to do, and that is to go check out what I got from our Secret Santa exchange. Now, let's see which present is for me. Train. Here we go. 2 Minivate. Wow, that is probably more diamonds than I ever had. A new mace. And some armor trims, a new mace, diamonds, and some netherite. I could have finally got around to upgrading my netherite tools. Oh well. You know, since Real is shutting down the server on Christmas Day and setting up the new server the day after Christmas, I wonder if I can convince him to world edit all of our Secret Santa presents to the new server. Might be a bit of an unfair start, but could also be fun. Anyway, with that, it is time to go and return home to my base for the very last time. I hope you all enjoyed Season 1 of Shifted Reality and get some inspiration and ideas for your own mega base. Well, everybody, with that fireworks display, I hope you have a good new year. Happy 2025, and we will be back with Shifted Reality Season 2, Episode 1 soon. Have a good one.